I'm Jimbo Juanis. What happens when you take three guys who are crazy about statistics, mix with computers, and add the Grateful Dead? The result is called DeadBase, a computer database which has spawned 3 books that analyze information about Grateful Dead set lists. DeadBase contains the most accurate listing of Grateful Dead concerts and set lists ever compiled. It analyzes, through graphs and statistics, the evolution of the Dead's music. It is considered by many to be the Taper's Bible. DeadBase is the collaboration of 3 Deadheads. DTV talked to 2 of them, Stu Nixon and Michael Dolgushkin, about the genesis of this project.
But there are a number of other people who are a lot better than I was about keeping set lists, and a lot of set lists were compiled by many different people, and sometimes people would compare notes. And one guy that kept a lot of set lists was Mike Dolgushkin. He's one of the 2 other authors, one of which he lives in San Francisco.
It had this typewritten list, this enormous thing that I had been like Xeroxing off and giving to people, and the word of this had gotten spread around. And I'd heard of Dennis McNally. He's the Dead's publicist now, and he's also their official biographer. He's working on a book about them. And I always thought, well, if I could meet this guy, I bet I could help him out because they have all these lists and stuff. And so finally, backstage on Halloween 1983 at the Marin Civic, I was introduced to him, and I had this typewritten book with me as I was in the habit of carrying it around with me at the time. And so I said, hey, look at this. And he goes, hey, this is great. Why don't you come on over?
He had a book about this thick of song lists that were all typed up, single-spaced on a manual typewriter that he had been compiling for years. Then in 1986, Dennis received a call from John Scott when he was on the East Coast tour. John was located in New Hampshire, and he had gotten one of Mike's original lists and put it all on a computer. And that became the beginnings of the DeadBase database. And John had the idea of putting this out in book form, and he wanted to get the Dead's permission. So Dennis said, well, this is a great project, and as long as you're doing it, you might as well do it right. Why not compare notes with these 2 other guys who I've been working with, Mike and Stu, and make it one big project.
Phil Lesh, after reading an early version of DeadBase, brought the idea to the rest of the group during a band meeting. Part of the proceeds from the book sales will go to the Rex Foundation, the Dead's charity arm. Interestingly, John Scott, the 3rd partner in this project, lives in New Hampshire and has never met his 2 co-authors.
Neither Stu or I have ever met John Scott face to face. And this is a funny thing because I consider him a really good friend of mine. And I've seen pictures of him and stuff, but I've never met him face to face. I've talked to him on the phone like innumerable times. And we've gone over it that way.
There's a certain mystery to it, working with someone, having long marathon conversations with them on the phone, and seeing their work, sharing all kinds of heartaches and problems, as well as the exhilaration when the books come out, but never having met face to face. It's an interesting way to do it.
The obsession with tapes and lists started early for Stu and Mike.
Live tapes were so much fun to listen to that I just needed more and more. I had to get tapes from wherever I could, so there was an initial real enthusiastic taping phase I went through. Been actively trading on and off since then. Tried to keep it down a little bit, probably have around 1,200 tapes right now, most of which are on this wall here behind me.
Actually, I had tapes of the band before I saw them. I had the October 4th, 1970 tape at Winterland, like, before I saw them. My first show was August 22nd, 1972 at Berkeley Community Theater. So I guess, I'm kind of unusual in certain respects that I was really into the Dead before I even saw them. I think most people, they don't get into the Dead at all until somebody drags them to a show and they go, yeah, these guys are great.
Both Stu and Mike work day jobs. Co-author John Scott is a computer programmer at Dartmouth College. Mike is a successful poster artist in addition to working at the psychedelic shop. Stu is a programmer who collects statistics for a group of clinical researchers that test new drug products. New editions of Dead Base are due out soon.
Dead Base 3 is going to be a continuation of Dead Base 1 and 2. It'll have all the lists from 1965 through 1988 in it. And the Garcia base and the reviews and the same things that the last books had in them, taken a little further. Now, what I'm really excited about at this point, and this book's coming out any time now, is the Grateful Dead 1988 in review, because that is covering 1988 in greater detail than Dead Base is covering it. For one thing, there's song lists for every show. Every song is timed. Every show is reviewed. I mean, I got my 2 cents worth in on that too. And it's just, this thing is statistically incredible.